So to decorate the top, we're going to use a piece of early espresso cardstock, and you're going to cut this 4.5 by 5.5, and that will give you an even border all the way around. And then we're going to have a piece of Pool Party cardstock, and this is cut at 4.25 by 5.25, so that gives you a little bit of the espresso all the way around. And I have run this through the Big Shot with the Vintage Wallpaper Embossing folder. This is really nice for the vintage look. And before I attach that, I'm going to sponge this with some crumb cake. And I'm just using a wedge of our stamping sponges. And what I like to do is take a little bit of the cardstock that I'm using the sponge on and staple it to the pointy part of my wedge. So that way I know I'm always going to use this cardstock or use this sponge with crumb cake. And that way I don't get my colors mixed up. And I like to use sponge lightly. I know some people like to sponge heavily, and that's okay. It always gives you a different look either way you do it. And then I'm just going to lightly go over the image to make it pop out a little bit and define the edges a little more. Give it that aged look. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my espresso. And attach this to the front of the box. Okay. So next we're going to take one of our new doilies, paper doilies, and then we're going to sponge this with some crumb cake too. You have to be careful when you separate your doilies because they do stick together, so you want to just make sure you get one. You can tell it's kind of see-through, it's really thin by itself, so make sure you don't accidentally get 2 or 3 of them together. And I'm just going to sponge this around the edges because the center is not going to show. Just be careful not to push too hard. Sorry about that. Okay, got that antiqued. So I'm going to attach that to the middle of my project. I'm going to add a little bit to the solid. Center that on the front of my project. And then I'm going to use a little bit of our Spice Cake designer fabric. And I flagged the ends. I'm just going to use two small pieces on each side of two different patterns. And it's really easy to flag these ends. Just take your strip and fold it in half, and then cut it from the edge in towards the fold, and then you have a nice even flag right there. So I'm just going to attach these. You can use Tombo adhesive. I'm going to use a little bit of sticky strip. Just to make sure that they stay down. And I'm going to, let's see, I think I'm going to put the brown on the bottom. Kind of break up that blue and vanilla or crumb cake doily. And then I'm just gonna kind of have that going over the edge. I'm gonna put the other one on the other side. I know you have those days when sticky strip is not your friend. this pool party piece on top, on either side. A little bit showing. Okay, and I've already pre-stamped this image. It's this one right here, and I used espresso, early espresso ink, and this is from the Heart, or from My Heart stamp set. It's one of my favorites, and then I punched it out with a 2.5 inch circle punch. And I am going to go ahead and sponge this a little bit too. I want this to be pretty vintage looking. Alright, and then since that's going down on fabric and there's a little bit of layers there, I'm going to go ahead and use a little Tombo adhesive. And then center that right in the middle of my doily. Okay, and then I've stamped that image again on a little bit of pool party cardstock, just the little banner part, and I've trimmed this out. So I'm going to pop that up on top. I'm going to use some Stampin Dimensionals. This is thin, so I'm just going to use a little bit from the edges. I'm just going to put that right on top. That pops it out a little bit, looks super cute. And then this is one of our a flower off of our new flower trim die, and this one I've unraveled because I've been dyeing lots of flowers, and I've dyed this with the Pool Party ink, and I just put it in a styrofoam bowl. I put, I squeeze some ink in there and add a little bit of water, mix it together, and then I just soak all my flowers in there until they're completely coated with the ink, and then squeeze them out and then set them out to dry. I usually let that dry overnight. You can speed it up with a blow dryer if you want, but I've done these in Pool Party, pinks, yellows, the corals, they're beautiful. So I'm just going to attach this with a glue dot. Oh, let's do it down in this little corner, and there you go. That's all you do. Now if you wanted to add little labels here that says cards and envelopes on the other side, you can. But I'm just going to show you these cards real quick. This is a standard card size. And then I've done the same as I've done on the front of the box. I did the espresso for the mat. I ran the Pool Party with the vintage wallpaper embossing folder through the Big Shot. And then on the doily, instead of using whole doily, I cut the doily in half. So I only used a half per card, folded it around the Pool Party cardstock and glued that, and glued it down here. After I had added a little bit of the spice cake fabric. And then I just added a little bit of vanilla, very vanilla cardstock. And then I stamped the hello from the Lacy and Lovely set. I like this hello stamp to do note cards with. So I stamped that using espresso ink. And then I added 2 of the flowers on each of the cards, and then 1 of the new large pearl basic jewels on each card, just to give it a little bit of shine to go with it. And I've just left them blank on the inside. You could add vanilla cardstock inside if you want, or put a saying in there. And that's basically it. And then I have 4. You can do 4 to 6. I think we could easily fit in another card in each of these. So this will hold 6 or 7 or 6 to 8 layered cards. You could probably squeeze in more if you just did single layered cards. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned next time. Thank you.